How many times have you heard the media or right-wing groups talk about a Muslim takeover of Europe? This type of rhetoric has been used as a profitable business for many, as it gets sales. As they say, fear sells. In the 2000s, books like Londonistan and The Last Days of Europe scared people into thinking Muslims were taking over. These books claimed Muslim immigrants would outnumber Europeans, which every prediction failed so far. They said it would replace European culture, even though culture changes more with social media. Before we start the video, did you know that England once offered to become a Muslim country by choice? In 1213, King John of England was in deep trouble. He ended up annoying the Pope and got excommunicated, meaning he basically got kicked out of the church. The Pope then gave the green light for France to invade England. King John obviously was then worried and felt under threat. So what did he do exactly to prepare for the potential invasion from France? He sent messengers all the way to Morocco, to the court of Caliph Muhammad al-Nasir, the leader of the Almohad Caliphate. And here's something that people who wrote those anti-Islam propaganda books never tell you. King John promised to convert to Islam, follow Islamic law, and even turn England into a Muslim realm if the Caliph would help him fight the Pope's army. That's not a rumor. It was recorded by Matthew Paris, a respected English monk and chronicler from St. Albans Abbey. Even he was stunned. King John offering to bring Islamic principles to England. That was something never heard of before. So what happened? Well, the Muslim Caliph in Morocco, he actually refused. He said no. He wasn't interested in a country suddenly changing to Islam. He saw the offer as desperate. So where was the so-called Islamic takeover that apparently many Muslims want? In this case, it was literally handed on a plate, but rejected from the Muslim himself. Why don't all the anti-Islam books ever mention this? So no. Muslims didn't try to take over England then, and they aren't now. Another lesser-known fact is, many Muslims had a good relationship with wealthy Europeans. Islam was often attributed to wealthy Sufi lifestyles and philosophy. But more recently, many think it has to do with immigration, unfortunately, despite immigrants coming from Christian-majority countries too. And this wasn't the only time Islam was rooted in Europe. Let's dive into specific examples of Muslim areas of Europe that you may never even knew of. First, let's talk about France. There was once an actual Muslim state in the French Alps known as the Emirate of Fraxinetum. You've heard of the French Alps, right? Well, before it was a tourist hotspot, there was a real Muslim mini-kingdom up there. Many from Muslim Cordoba, Spain moved there. The Muslim community there controlled mountain passes, made money from trade and tolls, and had serious power. Christians from nearby regions didn't like that. They teamed up, including the future Holy Roman Empire, and wiped it out by the late 970s. So before this Christian takeover for almost 90 years, part of France was technically Muslim land. But after the war, just like that, it was erased from most school books. But yes, Islam was in Europe for longer than most people realize. Now let's cover the second area, which was an Islamic region. Let's move to Eastern Europe, Hungary. Another forgotten chapter, another piece of history. For centuries till the 1200s, Hungary was home to vibrant Muslim communities. There were three main groups: locals who converted to Islam, Volga Bulgars from what is now Russia, and Khwarezmians, which were scholars and traders that came from Central Asia. These Muslims built mosques, schools, and served in vital roles as tax collectors, scribes, and merchants. They interacted with other Hungarians from nearby towns and held trusted positions in the royal court. Hungarian kings protected them through official decrees. But as Hungary began converting to Christianity around 1000 CE, everything changed. By the 13th century, Islam was declared illegal. Arabic script was banned. Mosques were closed by force and churches were opening. Muslims were forced to convert or leave. This was real discrimination. But medieval documents, including royal edicts and Hungarian chronicles, still prove they were there. The information is out there, with many books untranslated. But that's why this channel is here. So hit the subscribe button and comment what else you want to see. Let's get to the third place now. And no, it's not Spain. Most people tend to know of Andalus, aka Spain, being Muslim at one point. But did you know about Sicily? That famous Italian island with the pizza, beaches, and Baroque churches? It used to be a Muslim-run society for over 250 years. The Emirates of Sicily, see this old map for context. From 831 to 1091, Sicily was ruled by Muslim dynasties. They transformed it. The influence is obvious when you go there. They brought new agriculture, lemon and orange trees, sugarcane, silk, irrigation systems, you name it. Even Arabic libraries, medicine, math, astronomy. Under Muslim rule, Palermo became one of the biggest, richest, and most diverse cities in Europe. And here's what's wild. Christians and Jews were allowed to live, pray, and run businesses freely. They paid a tax, yes, called the jizya, but they were protected by law, unlike many Christian societies at the time, which no one seems to talk about. And this tax was even less than the taxes which Muslims had to pay. Now here's the twist. When Christian knights took Sicily in 1091, they didn't erase the Muslims right away. They couldn't. Instead, they kept the Muslim civil service, continued using Arabic, and even had Muslim architects build churches and palaces, some of which still have Arabic script carved into the walls. This created something rare, a hybrid society, Arab-Sicilian Christian, that shaped Sicilian culture for centuries. Even the Sicilian dialect has Arabic words in it today like zabibu for raisin and marzipan for almond sweets. But over time, Muslim rights were stripped away. By the 1200s, Muslims were forced out or converted. Some were deported to Lucera in southern Italy, a short-lived Muslim town built under Emperor Frederick II. That town was later destroyed too. So where did they go? Some Muslims fled to across the pond, to North Africa. So maybe your local Moroccan restaurant owner is native to Europe after all? Others converted but passed on their knowledge, words, and customs. Their bloodlines stayed, especially among the southern Italian population, where genetics today show traces of North African and Middle Eastern ancestry. The final example in this video will be Crimea. It sounds familiar, right? Once upon a time, it was known as the Crimean Khanate, aka modern-day Ukraine. There was 500 years of Muslim rule, and a people still standing. Here's one they really don't teach. Crimea, now part of Ukraine, was a Muslim kingdom for half a millennium. From the 1200s to the 1700s, the Crimean Khanate was a real Muslim state. It was run by the Tatars, Turkic-speaking Muslims descended from the Mongols, different to Bosnians, which are another Muslim group in Europe. In fact, they have a whole country. They Tatars built a full society with palaces, Islamic schools, and mosques. Their capital was Bakhchisarai, and it had water gardens, poetry, diplomacy, a Muslim version of a Renaissance city, and it's still a city today. So what happened to the region? Well, in 1783, the Russian Empire took Crimea. Then came waves of colonization. Thousands died, but many still live in Ukraine today. But you don't really hear them talking about the fact that their lands were taken over. Why is that? Regardless, in the 1990s, many Tatars actually returned to their communities. They rebuilt mosques and spoke their language again. Despite Russian occupation, they keep the culture alive through food, language, weddings, and Friday prayers. Tatars are not foreigners in Ukraine. They are not foreign to Europe. Islam isn't new to Europe. It's part of the family tree. On the other hand, can this be said for Christianity in South America? That's a whole other video. Subscribe for more.